I'm here with Maria, Senior Marketing Manager at Ultimate Medical Academy. She specializes in digital marketing and is an expert in brand building and rebranding, with a strong focus on technology and education right now. We're discussing how businesses are rebranding in response to today's digital landscape and social expectations, from shifting consumer behaviors to the growing importance of values like inclusion and sustainability. We'll explore what it really takes to keep a brand relevant and impactful. Thank you so much, Maria, for being here. Can you tell me a bit about your experience with brand building or rebrand across different industries?
Perfect. So I've actually been so lucky to have brand strategy and marketing initiatives across a range of industries, from higher education, healthcare, to hospitality, legal, and the luxury jewelry space, because my brother owns a jewelry store. So in my current role at UMA, I focus on expanding campus visibility and engagement through integrated digital and community strategies. So I'm kind of involved in every aspect of the branding for the current campus and the expansions that are going to come from that, which is our 2030 vision. And prior to that, I was working at FBI, where I also oversaw multiple rebranding efforts, including updating program positioning, improving our online presence, alignment with visual identity, student-focused mission, making sure that all of that is aligned. And I also co-found a marketing agency called Lamar Marketing, where that's where most of my reach with different industries has come from, because I work with small businesses, working on everything from their, logo redesigns to full websites and lead generation strategies and full brand revamps. So luckily, the experience is there.
So now that I see that you have experiencing all of these industries, what are the challenges that you see working with a variety of businesses or institutions or organizations when it comes to marketing? Because every area you have to learn some things like medical, cosmetics, or jewelry. And so what are the challenges and how do you overcome them?
So I think every industry has its own set of challenges. It's kind of difficult to pinpoint what exactly you will come across, because it's not, the challenges don't come so much from the industry, but from the times we're living, the generations and the different industry standards that we're coming across. So for me, I think that, a lot of challenges will come your way and you will have to overcome them, but just staying on top of everything, from something silly as being involved in Facebook groups, that helps me just see what the people are saying, what they're going through. Places like Higher Ed Social on Facebook, there's a group with everybody else that works on social media on different higher educations, are keeping up with what the new challenge is. And that helps me just stay on top of it and making sure that these challenges don't become a big issue for whatever industry I'm in.
Yes, in today's world, audiences expect brands to first align with their values and also expect to speak on current events or to take a position and a stand. And I think there it comes a challenge for businesses and for brands to analyze their audience and say, okay, these are our values, these are our audience values, and how do we make this work for everyone here?
And how it affects your bottom line, right? Because you don't want to stand for everything also and then lose the core of what your business is or what your audience is, like you said. And then that also affects, ultimately, we're all here to make money. So if your brand is falling through the cracks, you're not staying competitive with the others, and then you end up losing the company in itself. So you want to stay on top of things, but always be Switzerland. To make sure that
that's the point right there. What are the most common reasons you see companies rebranding today?
So I think that digital marketing back in the day, even as soon as a few years ago, was very much a support system to the rest of the marketing strategy. And I think that now it no longer is just a support. I think it's just the backbone of any successful rebrand. I think from day one, platforms like Instagram, YouTube, Meta Ads, TikTok, whatever, everything that there is out there now are helping us test the messaging, build the awareness, quickly adapt based on what engagement metrics is, which we weren't able to do before. I think before, campaigns took a lot longer for us to see, hey, this is working, this is not. Now it's as quick as 2 weeks, we're still seeing results or not. And we can pivot, change messaging, whatever it is, right? SEO, localized Google ads, they also play a key role, I think, increasing visibility, especially during a brand pivot with like Google reviews and things that really help you align. And I've seen great success pairing storytelling content. For education wise, we use a lot of testimonial reels, origin stories, just really tearjerkers that really get the paid strategy efforts with the nurture of the leads and like really build brand loyalty. So I think that your rebranding process needs to stay repetitive and very data informed. If you're not staying data informed along every step of the way, you're going to miss the cracks and it's not going to be as successful as it could be.
Yes, it's not about assumptions, but it's saying what actually works with your audience and
Exactly.
the storytelling. I think it's like, because these days, or not these days, but I feel like one of the most common mistakes is when we market, we want to push to the product or the service, like, hey, buy this, because this is awesome, but you're not telling the story behind it, you're not connecting, and if we're not connecting, we're not really getting anywhere with our marketing efforts.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with that.
In your view, how important it is for a modern brand to reflect values like sustainability or inclusion, and how can companies do these in a way that feels authentic?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's critical. I think that today's consumers, especially Gen Z and millennials, we expect brands to stand for something. So I think that, we're going back to that. You want to make sure that you're not just there existing, but you're kind of moving along with, whatever it is that we want to be part of. Sustainability, inclusion being the two main ones that currently everybody is very in line with, but staying authentic. It can be performative. I think that one of the bigger things, like I said, we are so research driven. We as in millennials and Gen Zs and all that, we're so research driven. We're so able to tell who's being performative and who's not. So then if a brand says that their value is in inclusion and it's in sustainability, we want to see that in the way that they hire, in the way that their community partnerships show, and who's featuring the marketing content. Some, like, every little detail matters. And I think that people are being more aware of this now. So helping brands implement this through intentional community outreach, inclusive visuals, culturally relevant campaigns, all that has helped me with this rebrand, because it's not about being perfect anymore. It's just about being real and consistent. And that is what really builds the trust, which is, the foundation of every lasting brand. So
yes, as a consumer, I don't know if this happens to you. You hop on any social media platform, they're like, we're not buying anymore from this brand because they're doing X, Y, and Z, or they did it, they were doing this right and now they're doing it wrong. So as you said, we're more aware, we are more like of a researchers. So it's funny, like, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not buying on this brand anymore because it doesn't reflect my value.
So much. It's happening so much.
It's hard to keep on.
It is. And we don't want you to say, hey, I'm like being, going toward sustainability first and all that stuff, and then we see you're still using, like, let's say plastic or something like that. It doesn't align. So we want to make sure that if you're saying these things, like I said, you're being true to them and you're actually putting them through with your brand, and that really shows.
Can you share an example of rebranding effort you worked on, including any challenges and what you learned from it?
Yeah. So I actually recently, as far as 6 months ago, worked on a major rebranding effort, which I led at FEI, my previous employer. It was a complete website overhaul. And I think that previously you would have done a complete website overhaul by just updating the look and feel, few images, better quality, and that's it, call it a day and expect the best. But I think that now, because of the way that we are looking at marketing as a whole, we took a deep dive into audience behavior, lead flow, where are they converting the most, what kind of content they're resonating with the most, where our brand positioning is compared to all our other competitors, competitive analysis. Like, it was just a lot of work that went on to the research and planning before the overhaul, right? So our goal was to create a digital experience that was more user-friendly, of course, because that's always first, but it's also emotionally resonant with them, and it was conversion-driven, which is the challenge, because you want your site to be pretty, to have great stories, to be storytelling, but you also want them to enroll as students. So that's your ultimate goal. So we, did all this restructuring stuff, and I think that the challenge that we came across was that we had to balance the stakeholders' input. You know, you want to make sure that you get everybody's little insight and everybody's little grain of salt on what they want or what they feel needs to be improved, but you don't want to lose track of what your goals are. And I think as marketing, we like to people please. We're like, oh, we'll help you with this and we'll help you with that, and this is going to help. Yes, we can do it for you. But ultimately, you know, you gotta stay on track, and you gotta make sure that it all aligns with your enrollment goals. So it taught me, yes, the value of cross-functional collaboration, which is extremely important, because a lot of things that were improved wouldn't have been if I wouldn't have consulted with these other stakeholders. But also the importance of clear storyline and also conversion focused make changes, right? Making sure that the goal is in sight at all times and I don't lose track of it just from other opinions and matters that came into hand.
Yes, I feel like the alignment in between teams is something that we take for granted, but when we come to it, it's not as easy or it's not as simple as we see it. So for all of it to be aligned and to be aligned with your goals and to work for everyone involved in the project is a real challenge too.
Yeah, and you come across, you know, something that you will learn as you're in the industry, and just not in this industry, every industry, you come across different characters, you know, strong characters, people who are gonna tell you their way or the highway, and being able to manage that, especially for a project as big as a rebrand, is really your challenge. It's really what you have to overcome. Knowing how to navigate that, it's crucial for you to be successful in that.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to build a career specializing in branding or digital marketing?
So I think that not just for branding or digital marketing, but just as in a career as a whole, I think you have to stay curious and you have to stay adaptable. The tools and the platforms will change, but the fundamentals, you know, understanding your audience, solving real problems, building emotional connections, all the stuff that we are taught in school and, you know, through our job and stuff like that, that's not going to change. So you have to gain the hands-on experience wherever you can, whether it's through internships, which I know sometimes are hard to get, or, you know, maybe doing some freelance work, which teaches you a lot of the stuff that you maybe didn't know before, or even doing your own passion projects. Market wherever you can, whoever you can. You know, when I first started, you know, 12 to 15 years ago, I was marketing my brother's store when he just started. And I was like, we were both learning as we went, but I was like, I'll make this be my project, you know, like I'll help you elevate your store and do this. And we learned together. I mean, now he's on another level, but I like to think it's all thanks to me. So it's all been very successful in that way. I think that you have to learn to analyze the data, you know, write the compelling copy, also to understand the design basics, because even if you're not going to use them, there's different marketing. One thing about marketing is that it's so broad. There's so many routes you can take as far as what you like to do, whether it's design or copy or, you know, automation or whatever it is. But knowing every little aspect, at least some of it, really will help you for any role, especially if you want to end up in a leadership role. Because you can more relate, you can kind of tell, you can kind of get more guidance. You're not so lost and just, you know, telling people what to do. So just being so alert and aware and being sure that you're staying on top of everything. Like I said, follow those Facebook groups that seem so outdated because nobody uses Facebook anymore. Follow the TikTok. I'm sure there's TikTok's accounts about marketing. So following those, you know, the Instagram, the marketing millennials, that Instagram account I follow, blogs, whatever it is, you got to stay on top of it and never underestimate the power of networking and, you know, making sure that you market yourself as much as you market the brands that you serve. So
yes, I feel identified when you say you were working with your brother's business, because my family business, I work with it too, and I'm like, okay, this is my time to make mistakes.
Yeah,
because it's my family business. So
they'll yell at you, but they'll be friends with you again tomorrow. So it's okay.
So I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should do this, and I'm like, I'm just going to do it, and then I'll analyze the results. I'll see how it went, and I have the opportunity to that. And that's why I also like working with small businesses. It's been my focus. I feel like first your audience feel like more connected to you, feel more like closer, because you're a small business and they don't use this big corporation. So taking advantage of that too, it's important.
You can make a big difference, and it feels good. It's like one of those feel good differences that you see your results, you see how it's elevating the brand, you see how they're, staying competitive and open, because a lot of small businesses went, bad after COVID. So making sure that you're keeping them relevant, that's really huge.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Maria. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your insights and your advice.
Thank you for having me.